All right, let's talk Miami Hurricanes. This is a team that's dominated the headlines this offseason with a lot of great recruiting moves, a lot of great transfer moves. We're looking at skill players, looking at quarterback, but football comes down to winning the trenches, and Miami has very quietly done a great job. Mario Cristobal and his staff has done a great job executing on that front, and we'll get to the latest reporting and data on this. Exciting stuff for Miami fans. But first, I'm Nick, that's Andrew, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. Now, look, I'm a little biased. As a former collegiate offensive lineman way back in the day, I think these guys up front deserve a lot more credit. And I think maybe a lot of people would agree with that. The Miami Hurricanes have had, I will say, a lot of star power outside the big guys up front over the past few years. And they got some star power this year as well. But their offensive line is looking absolutely extraordinary, not getting a lot of media press until now. Let's pull up this report here, courtesy of 24/7 Sports. Then we'll get into some very interesting data on the other side. From the report, the Miami Hurricanes are expected to have one of the best offensive lines in college football in 2025. returns 4 starters from the 2024 offensive line and plugs in veteran transfer James Brockermeyer from TCU. It's kind of an under-the-radar get. He doesn't get a lot of hype, but he's a really good player. To form a group that will be one of the most talented in the country. Going into this 2025 season, right tackle Francis Moaga is projected as a potential first-round pick in the 26 NFL Draft. Markel Bell is projected as a Day 2 type of player with first-round potential and traits. Right guard Inez Cooper is projected as a Day 3 selection. Left guard Matthew McCoy is also a Day 3 projection. So that's a lot of NFL guys, and having a lot of NFL guys is usually a sign you've got a good group. But when you look at recent history, and 24/7 Sports highlights this, having a lot of NFL guys on your offensive line has a very positive correlation to success during the regular season. Let's go into our next article right here, the next part of the article. From the report, it says, over the last 6 seasons, there has been 12 teams that have featured 3 or 4 linemen that were selected in the following NFL draft. There was in 2025, there was the LSU Tigers that went 9-4, Georgia, which made the college football playoff, Texas made the college football playoff. In 2024, there was Michigan. They went undefeated, won the national championship that year, and in Penn State, they won 10 games that year. And then Ohio State in 2023, they made the college football playoff that year. And if you want to go ahead and switch over to the next one so we can just roll right into it. In 2022, that was sort of the one aberration. LSU had 3. They had a losing record, but that was just a disaster year for a lot of other reasons. But in 2021, Alabama won the national championship. Notre Dame made the playoff. 2022, Michigan 9-4, LSU national championship, Georgia 12-2. So you can see a general theme here, right? If you're good up front, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be a college football playoff contender, right? And I think that's one of the things people sleep on when it comes to Miami and Mario Cristobal and what he's done in terms of building a quality offensive line, building a group up front. And what gets very interesting is when you look at the offensive line improvement over the past 3 seasons. Let's pull up our first graphic here to kind of highlight it here. So this is just a chart demonstrating that improvement. The blue is the pass blocking grade, courtesy of PFF. The red is the run blocking grade, going from 2022, 2023, and 2024. And you can see where the level started in 2022 for both pass blocking and run blocking, and it spiked up in 2023 and dipped a little pass blocking, rose a little bit in run blocking, but you can see it basically took a big step up. It went from okay in 2022 to really good in 2023, and then maintained that in 2024 overall if you look at the average between pass protection and run blocking. So you got a good, well-balanced group up front. How does that happen? Well, it's very interesting. Let's pull up our next graphic here that adds another data point here, and this is the number of offensive line commits, right? This sounds pretty obvious, but you can see in gold there, the blue and the red, the pass blocking and run blocking grade, exactly the same. That's unchanged, but the gold is the number of offensive line commits, and you can see it follows the exact same trend. Now, this sounds pretty obvious. It makes sense, right? You allocate more resources to recruiting a position, you get better in that. Obviously, duh. Everyone's like, what is this telling me? What this is telling you is that Mario Cristobal in 2022 recognized he had a potential problem. He knew he had a talented squad and was doing good recruiting skill positions, but he understood offensive line. He didn't allocate enough resources to get it done. So what does he do in 2023? He allocates more. He gets more commits. 2024, slight dip, but again, good commits. We're talking about Cristobal here building a program with the offensive line up front so that way when he goes out and gets his star quarterback, Cam Ward, when he goes out and gets a Carson Beck, they've got a veteran infrastructure of offensive linemen up front that's full of depth, that's full of quality guys. And they haven't stopped this strategy as well. Of course, the number one recruit in the country has a few months ago, of course, Cantwell has committed to Miami offensive tackle. This is one of the under the radar aspects of Cristobal. When it comes to Miami, of course, we fall in love with the big names, receivers, the running backs, even defensive linemen, edge rushers, and of course, quarterbacks, the skilled players doing amazing things. But Mario Cristobal and his staff has done a great job, specifically over the past few years, of putting the focus on recruiting offensive linemen, getting them to commit, and then developing them into a quality group while also selectively targeting transfers as well. The Miami Hurricanes clearly believe the big guys up front will have a big impact this season. And if you look at the data, they should have a big impact for many years to come, developing a solid infrastructure. So whether they go transfer for the quarterback position or traditionally recruiting, Miami will have the big guys up front, 5 offensive linemen, to make sure that quarterback and the running game will be successful for years to come. And based on history, if you got a good offensive line group, you win a lot of games. So we have a good group up front, veteran coaching staff, good skilled players, quality quarterback play. Success should be upcoming for Miami. We're talking a step forward in 2025, most likely to a college football playoff appearance. I think there's a great chance they get it done and make a lot of noise if they get in. All right, Myers, I'm curious what your thoughts are on all of this. But first, Miami fans, in the comment section below, talking offensive linemen here. So let me ask you this. This is a good one. Who, in your opinion, is the greatest offensive lineman in Miami Hurricanes history, right? Look, tackles, guards, centers, opening it up, right? Best guy ever, right? There is like 50 million ways you can go with this one, but I'm really going to make you only pick one. You can only pick one. Greatest offensive lineman in Miami Hurricanes history. I want to hear from all you guys. It's going to be a really interesting one. Let us know in the comment section below. But Miles, I will throw it over to you now. What are your thoughts on this latest out of Miami?
Yeah, Nick, when you talk about Miami, you talk about the offensive line upgrades. I think that was the key last season, is this is a team who I think they got better at the offensive line position as far as when you look at the 2023 season versus what they're able to do in the 2024 season. But also, I think in some ways, it was still a transition year. They need to get things ironed out. And I think, as we see what they're able to do in this coming year, a lot of the guys they added to this team look really good. The transfer they added to this team already looks like an NFL draft type of player. And you look, they got 4 guys in this 2025 class as far as recruits coming in. So again, more of the same for Miami, continuing to add in to that recruiting cycle of talent to keep the offensive line grade up. I think if they can get it up to the level they need to, as long as Cristobal, who knows the offensive line position very, very well, can continue to keep this thing going, we're going to see some really talented stuff here, because I think Miami is just really focusing on it already. In that 2026 class, if you look at it, 6 guys in that class at the offensive line position, 4 tackles, 2 interior guys. So really good stuff by Cristobal. I think that's the key to a good coach, is a coach who can go out and say, all right, where were we bad? What was our problem? Where were we deficient? And then they go, okay, let's continue to build on that. Because everybody knows, a lot of people would say, all right, let's go out 1 year, bring in some transfers to the offensive line, boom, we're done, that's it. But no, you have to consistently build that thing until it becomes a strength, and then even after that, continue refilling your coffers each and every season. So this is a Miami team recruiting with Coach Cristobal. We've talked about numerous times, we really like what he does. We think he's very talented. He has great recruiting acumen, but now seeing what he's able to do as far as go out there and say, hey, we want more offensive linemen. We know we need to get better at the role. We need to continue to get guys. They've done it back-to-back years already, as your chart shows, in 23, in 24. Big jump there as far as what they've added to this team. But we see in the out years as well for this coming season, 2025, for next season in 2026, already refilling, reloading, keeping the same trend. So Miami fans, don't fret. If you think, all right, maybe they're satisfied, they're going to take their foot off the gas, not the case, because 2026 actually their biggest year yet as far as bringing offensive linemen into this team. I think there's a really great trajectory. Miami's looking like in the future here, they're going to have some of the most elite offensive lines in the country with all this talent they've been adding and with the great transfers they've been able to get as well. So if I'm a Miami fan, I feel good. I think Carson Beck is going to be well protected. I think he's going to have an absolute wall in front of him of great offensive line talent. And as the first part of this, show says, if you have a good offensive line, if you have NFL caliber talent on your line, that leads to wins, that leads to college football playoff appearances. this could be the thing to push Miami over the edge this year and get them into the college football playoff.
And again, the future looks good. I mentioned Cantwell, the number one prospect in the 2026 class, committed to Miami offensive tackle. The Miami Hurricanes already have 6 offensive linemen committed in a class of just 22 for 26. It's early, so they're going to get more commits. I don't know how much more offensive linemen they're going to get, but 6 in a class, that's still outstanding. It's clear this is a massive position of focus. They believe they need to be good up front to win titles. The data supports it, anecdotally supports it. Look, we've seen it for many years, right? The best programs in the country, while they often have the best quarterbacks and receivers, having really good offensive line can propel you and get you actually to a title. We looked at Lincoln Riley with his USC Trojans when they had Caleb Williams, Heisman Trophy caliber quarterback, terrible offensive line at the time, and just limited Caleb Williams, and they weren't able to make a deep postseason run. If you look at Ohio State, the Ohio State Buckeyes, a lot of times when they fell short of their expectations, it's because their offensive line wasn't quite as good as it needed to be. So you look at making sure that group is good. It sort of sets the baseline, sets the foundation, and Miami believes that. Coach Cristobal believes that, and it's a smart move to make. It's the perfect move to make. It's clear Miami is very adept at recruiting and attracting transfer big name skill position guys. They've done it. They've developed those guys too. They've proven it year in and year out. Now it's about focusing that you can do the same with offensive linemen, and that's why it's so good. They got the TCU transfer. They're building a really good group. They're focusing on the future as well. And it's not just Jackson Cantwell from 2026. According to 24/7 Sports, they also have Joel Irvin, who's a 91 rated commit from Fort Myers. He's an offensive tackle. And Ben Congdon from Ohio, he's a 90 rated offensive tackle. Again, part of that 2026 class. So we're not talking 1, 2, 3 90-plus rated offensive linemen already in the 2026 class. This is an area of focus for Mario Cristobal. He's done a great job, and I think because of it, this Hurricanes future is in good hands, regardless of who's behind center. They've got the infrastructure in place, whether it's Ward, Beck, or whoever comes next, to have a great amount of success because they're really good up front.